Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video by BTH Dreamer. In this video, I'm just going to be sharing with you guys some things you can do to speed up your computer if it's running slower than normal. The point of this video is to show you what things you can do in Windows specifically to kind of help speed up your PC. There's a number of things that can cause your PC to run slow, so let's just go through a few of them, the most basic common ones that I see. Okay, I'm running a Windows 10 computer, so if you're running a Windows 10 computer as well, this will be super easy. Windows 11 is basically the same thing, but things might just be in a little bit different spot. On both operating systems, you can just come down here to the blank area in your taskbar along the bottom. You can right click on that and click on Task Manager. This will show up both on Windows 10 and 11. In Task Manager, it will look different between Windows 10 and 11. In Windows 10, it gives you some tabs up here along the top. On Windows 11, these tabs come along the side over here, and it doesn't say it, it's just little symbols. So you have to just hover over it, and then it will tell you what it is. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is there's probably programs starting up with the computer that are running in the background that you don't need running all the time. We want to disable any programs that you don't want running all the time. So you want to go to your Startup tab. On Windows 11, like I said, it'll be over here on the left, down a few, hover over it, and you'll see it says Startup, click on it, and it'll bring you to a page that looks very similar to this. Okay, we can expand this, make it bigger. Okay, in our startups programs, you can see some of them say disabled and enabled on my computer here. I've already went through and disabled a lot of them in the past. Granted, it's probably a good time for me to review what I got going on because it's been a while. Okay, so we're going to take a look at mine. You can see here, I've got things disabled. Xbox Stat, I don't need that running all the time, so I disable it. It'll also tell you the startup impact up here, if you can see how much of an impact it's having on your startup speed. Now, not only is it starting on startup, it's actually running the program, so now that program's running in the background, eating up memory and resources. So we want to disable anything we don't need. So you can see here I've got all this disabled from running in the background. Wondershare, that's actually the video editing software I use. And I have it disabled, even though I use it frequently. But I have it disabled because I don't want it to run until I'm ready to run it. If I'm playing games and doing other things, these other things running in the background while I'm not using it are taking up resources, thus causing my games to run slower. So if I'm not going to use it all the time, I put it on disabled. To change it, I can just right click on it and enable it again. Same goes with things that I want to disable. Windows security notification, I'm leaving that running. Updates for GitHub, I'm leaving that running. PreSonus, this is an audio recording software device. It's disabled. THX Helper, what is that? I think it's something to do with the audio driver. Now this is good that this is happening because you can actually just go to Google and type in, what is THX Helper 22AD, and it will tell you what it is. I think it has something to do with the audio controller. Okay, so let's take a look here. New program showed up, and I can't figure out what it is. THX Helper. Spatial audio from Razer. Okay, yeah, see. So, okay, Free Fixer is a free tool to analyze your system once you manage it. That's just a stupid program. Do not download programs like these. If you see something like this, it says, hey, download our tool and we'll tell you what that is. Never download anything like that. Yeah, see, this is related to the Razer USA Ltd. So this has to do with my Razer microphone. I do believe I used to have a Razer headset as well. It's been a while. But so you can make sure, do I want that running or not? I'm going to keep mine running because I do use my microphone here, and it probably has to do with that. Super anti-spyware. I don't want it running all the time, just when I want to run a scan. Steam, I have it disabled because I only want to have it running when I want to open it and play games or download something. Spotify, I listen to my music all the time while I do stuff. That's going to run all the time. QuickBooks, etc., etc. So you kind of get the idea. You can go through here and see if there's things that are running that you don't need to have running all the time. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it. If you can't figure anything out, you might just want to leave it running, or you could have some malware running as well. Okay, so clean up your startup. Now, something else you're going to want to do is, let's say your computer's running slower than normal. If we go back to our processes, you can see what's running in the background, what resources it's taking up. Okay. Something that's very common I see with a lot of people is Chrome, any browser, whether you're using Firefox, Chrome, Edge, whatever, it uses a lot of memory. People like to have a lot of tabs open all the time. I like to have a lot of tabs open all the time, but it does eat up a lot of memory, as you can see here. So if you close down tabs, it'll free up a little bit of memory. Or if you just don't need Chrome running at all because you're doing something else, just close the whole thing down. Web browsers take up a lot of memory. So that's something to keep in mind. It's using up my memory altogether is using up 56%, but you can see that 1.7 gigs is what's being used up just from Chrome alone. I've got 32 gigs of RAM in here. Okay. Now, this is good to have open when you're doing other things because you can see what's peaking. For example, when I'm playing Fortnite, which for some reason is not responding right now. Oh, I've got it running right now. I forgot. I just minimized it. Power usage, very high. Boom. CPU usage. It's using up a lot of the CPU. 22, 15. Oh, it's bouncing around. That's weird. When I'm playing the game, it uses a lot more resources. So you can see here what program is using up how much of the resources of your computer. Okay. How much of it's being maxed out, etc. Now, if I click over here on the performance tab, I can see exactly how much memory I have. So you can see here, I've got 32 gigs. Half of that 32 gigs is being used. So I'm using like 16 gigs of RAM up right now. That's a freaking lot, to be completely honest. I remember when 1 gig of memory was a lot in a computer. Programs take up a lot more RAM space than they used to. If your memory is constantly maxed out and you don't have a lot running, you might just need to upgrade your RAM. If your processor is constantly maxed out and you don't have a lot running, you might want to just upgrade your CPU. You might need some PC upgrades. But if you don't, you can check out what's going on here. And you can, if you have a program that's using up a lot of space and you're like, well, I don't want that running right now. Let's say Spotify is, I can right click on it and I can end task. Boom, closes that program down. Okay. I can do this with anything. Open Office. Don't want to close that right now. I got stuff going. Notepads and leaving all that open. Fortnite, I could close that. But Fortnite, it's a full program. I'm not going to close that from here. I'm actually going to go to the game and close it manually through the program. But you could just close it from here. So just something to keep in mind. Watch your processes, see how much it's taking up, try to take care of things as you can. Now, if your hard drive is filled up, if you have your hard drive completely full, like just the other day I was on my son's computer and his hard drive was like maxed out. It was clear over here in the red. He had like only a couple gigs of space left. I either just heard a firework or a gunshot in the background from my house. I don't live in the hood. I don't know what the freak just happened outside. Anyways, maybe something will happen on the camera while I'm recording this. That'll be cool. Anyways, there it was again. I'm guessing since 4th of July is coming up in less than a month, it sounds like fireworks. So you can see here, I've got 208 gigs free of 930. I've got plenty of space. If you're getting less than like 10 gigs free, you're in serious trouble. You need to remove programs from the computer that you're not using, delete pictures or videos that you don't need. In my son's case, he had a whole bunch. He likes to record for his YouTube channel. And so he'll record a ton of videos, but he won't actually upload them. He's just like recording himself playing in case something cool happens. And he's taking up all this space. So we had to go through and delete all of his videos because he doesn't need, because when your hard drive gets full, it's not a lot of room to work. Think about it as if you just got done eating and you overate. I mean, you're maxed out in your gut. You're like, you don't feel good. You feel groggy. You don't want to move around much. Computer's kind of the same way. You do not want to max it out. If it's getting maxed, you want to free up some space. To free up some space, like I said, you can go delete any files that you're not using, go through your videos, pictures, music, see if there's stuff you don't need, look at your downloads, and remove anything. You can also go uninstall programs. If you come down to the start button, Windows 10, it's over here. Windows 11, it's here. Right click on it, go to apps and features. It'll pull up this deal here, and you can just go through and go, man, what's going on? What games do I have that I don't need anymore? You can click on it, uninstall it, and just uninstall anything that you don't need on the computer that you're like, I know I don't need this. Okay, and you can delete programs. You can also delete games and programs from their launchers. For example, Epic Games launcher here. If I open up the launcher, from within here, I can go to my library. You can do the same thing with Steam. It's going to look a little different, obviously, but you just click on the game and uninstall, and then it'll uninstall it from there. So just free up some space on your hard drive if it's getting full. Now, something else you're going to want to do is clean up any temp files. And to do that, watch very closely. Okay, I'm going to go into my C drive. I'm going to go to users. Now, I only have one user really on here that I use, so it's really easy. You might have multiple users that you want to do this with, but I'm going to go into my user folder for me, and you are going to want to make sure you have, where is it at here? View hidden items checked. Okay. When you get hidden items checked, you're going to see it's going to show some transparent folders. They're hidden. Not anymore. And you click on app data. It's been a minute since I've done this. I'm like having to think about it. And you click on local low, I believe is the one. Temp. Okay, nothing in here. Must just be local. There we go. This looks familiar. Okay, so you go to local. Sorry about that. And come down to your temp folder. This can get filled up. Okay. For example, let's take a look at mine. I haven't cleaned it in a minute. I just selected all of these with Control A. Now I'm going to look at the properties and see how much space this is taking up in the computer. Look, dude, I've got multiple gigs just in my temp folder. So if your hard drive's sitting at like just a few gigs of space left, especially if you're on like a little laptop or something that has a tiny solid state drive in it, look at this, dude. Freaking what the heck? This is getting pretty big. So you can see in my temp folder, I've got tons of crap in here that doesn't need to be here. It's all trash. Okay, we're gonna delete all of this. So I'm gonna, we got 20.8 gigs. I was ready to pause the video and restart it once it was done. 20 gigs of temp files. If you're on a little laptop with a little SSD, like a 128, that's taking up a lot of space. Okay, so we're gonna Control A, select the whole bundle, and we're gonna hit delete. Now, keep in mind, some of these temp files are required for some programs to run. And there's gonna be some programs running right now that are gonna be using some of these temp folders. So we're gonna get a message during this process of deleting. It's gonna say, hey, I can't delete this because it's running or it's required. You just say skip if anything like that pops up, which it will. So you just click on skip. So I'm gonna pause the video for a second, let this finish adding up, be right back. Okay guys, I just wanna show you this for a second while we're waiting. It's almost completed here. You can see here now, my CPU usage from Windows Explorer, which is this, freaking maxed out while we were doing that. It was using up a lot of processing power during that process. So that was just an example to show. And also it said the power usage was very high. It actually froze up for a minute while I was doing it. And it kind of looked like maybe it locked up. You can come over here, check it out, make sure it's still responding and running, see what's going on, be patient, give it some time. I mean, I have a decently fast computer, so if that's happening to me, it could easily happen to you. Now we can see here it says this folder is in use. The action can't be completed because the folder specifically here is in use. You just say, do this for all current items, check that and hit skip. That way anything is running in the background. Now this one says you need administrator permission. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and hit continue on any that say it needs administrator permission. And let it tidy up. You can see here, boom, 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 power usage very high. So this is kind of cool, just kind of in real time seeing what the processes is saying in Task Manager while we're doing this. Now this is gonna finish up here and it's gonna clear up a ton of space. Now something I do wanna say really quick while this is finishing up is I used to work for an IT support company at one point, and I had a client call in and he was complaining his computer was running slow. And one of the first things I had him do was I had him do a lot of what we're doing right now. And I had him delete all of his temp files. And he says, okay, I'll delete all these and I'll call you back and let you know how my computer is running, because his computer is running really slow. And I got off the phone. One of the other IT support guys was like, hey. And I was a little bit newer at this place at the time. I only worked there for a short period. I didn't end up liking the company. But this other guy got mad at me because he's like, dude, telling a guy to clean up his temp folder is not going to speed up his computer. And I was like, yeah, it can help speed up the PC. And he's like, no, it doesn't. They're just files that just sit there. They don't actually do anything. And I was like, bro, I've been working with IT for a long time. And I know from personal experience that cleaning up your temp files can improve the performance of your PC. So he kind of got mad at me. Well, guess what? 5 minutes later, or however long it was, a few minutes later, the client calls me back and says, thank you so much. You've been so helpful. My computer's running so much better. And I'm like, bro. So I went to the other guy. I was like, hey, bro, check it out. The dude's computer's running way better, and he's thrilled about the help that he got from me. So I'm not saying this to brag, but you will meet, there are some people who will argue and say cleaning up your temp files does not do anything. Well, they're wrong. You want to keep your temp folders clear. As you can see here, it can pile up, and I had 20 gigs. And look, it's still struggling to finalize the process. Okay, so mine actually legit froze up. So I ended up just coming into here, into my processes. I right-clicked Explorer, and I hit End Task and just closed it down, and because it was stuck. But it did finish most of the process. So now if I come here, I hit Control A again, right click Properties, I'm back in my temp folders. You can still see there's a few gigs worth here, but we removed the bulk of that stuff. Now a person, if you wanted, could again go for round 2 and make sure you cleaned up everything, hit delete. Now we're getting the same error. You can't complete it because it's in another program. It's fine, skip. Okay, we finished it up. Let's see if that made any difference. I don't think so. Yep, still 2 points. So I'm glad that happened on camera so you could see it happening, because it has happened to me before deleting temp files. So if that happens, just go to your task manager, end the task if it gets stuck at 99% like that, or really close to it. And you've been sitting there for 10 minutes. Just right click it, end the task, come back and make sure it's all deleted. So, and as you can see, there's some stuff here running because it is required for certain programs to run in the background. That's fine. You want, these are good. You just don't want to overstock like I did, like 20 some gigs. And the last thing I want to address is the actual hardware in your computer. So if I come over here and I right click on the start button, or Windows 11 over here, and I click on System, I can get an idea of what's in the computer. Okay. So I've got an i5 9600K. That's a decent processor. I got 32 gigs of RAM, so I got plenty of RAM. We saw what size my hard drive is, my C drive, and we have plenty of space there. If you're running a real dinky processor and like 4 to 8 gigs of RAM, your computer's gonna run slow. It's gonna have a hard time handling anything. So you might just need to consider upgrading the computer. And it also does depend on what you're doing. If you're just using it to browse the web and that's it, you don't need a lot of RAM. But as you can tell, as we saw from over here, even as it is, just Google Chrome is using up 1.5 gigs of RAM just by itself. So you want to kind of keep your use limited on how many tabs you have open and whatnot. Anyways, the last thing actually that I do want to say is you could have malware and viruses on your computer. This video, I'm not going to go into detail on how to clean up your computer, when it comes to viruses and malware and whatnot, but you can download little programs like Malwarebytes or Super Anti-Spyware Free Edition, ADW Cleaner, run your antivirus. Windows has a built-in antivirus you can run. If you guys want a video on doing that, just let me know and I can create a video on doing all that cleanup as well. But you could have viruses potentially, because that will also slow your computer down. So there is a cleanup process you could do for malware that could also speed up your computer. Either way, this information here is useful. Put it to use. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I explained things in kind of a lot of detail, but I wanted to give you the details so you could have the full scope of everything that's going on instead of just showing you do this. I want to tell you why. So if you guys found that informational, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'll check you guys out next time. Peace.